Welcome back to BibleGlimpse, the channel where we dive deep into biblical stories with a humorous twist. Today, we're stepping into the colorful world of Genesis 29. But before we start, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because you won't want to miss out on our biblical comedy. Genesis 29 is the original reality TV show with drama, romance, and family dynamics that put the Kardashians to shame. It's the tale of our boy Jacob, the ultimate trickster, and his journey to find love, pulling a few pranks along the way. So let's jump right in and see what this ancient soap opera can teach us. As always, let's hear the New International Version so we have a point of reference.
Then Jacob continued on his journey and came to the land of the eastern peoples. There he saw a well in the open country, with 3 flocks of sheep lying near it because the flocks were watered from that well. The stone over the mouth of the well was large. When all the flocks were gathered there, the shepherds would roll the stone away from the well's mouth and water the sheep. Then they would return the stone to its place over the mouth of the well. Jacob asked the shepherds, "My brothers, where are you from?" "We're from Haran," they replied. He said to them, "Do you know Laban, Nahor's grandson?" "Yes, we know him," they answered. Then Jacob asked them, "Is he well?" "Yes, he is," they said. "And here comes his daughter Rachel with the sheep." "Look," he said, "the sun is still high. It is not time for the flocks to be gathered. Water the sheep and take them back to pasture." "We can't," they replied, "until all the flocks are gathered and the stone has been rolled away from the mouth of the well. Then we will water the sheep." While he was still talking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherd. When Jacob saw Rachel, daughter of his uncle Laban, and Laban's sheep, he went over and rolled the stone away from the mouth of the well and watered his uncle's sheep. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and began to weep aloud. He had told Rachel that he was a relative of her father and a son of Rebekah. So she ran and told her father. As soon as Laban heard the news about Jacob, his sister's son, he hurried to meet him. He embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his home, and there Jacob told him all these things. Then Laban said to him, "You are my own flesh and blood." After Jacob had stayed with him for a whole month, Laban said to him, "Just because you are a relative of mine, should you work for me for nothing? Tell me what your wages should be." Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah had weak eyes, but Rachel had a lovely figure and was beautiful. Jacob was in love with Rachel and said, "I'll work for you 7 years in return for your younger daughter Rachel." Laban said, "It's better that I give her to you than to some other man. Stay here with me." So Jacob served 7 years to get Rachel, but they seemed like only a few days to him because of his love for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife. My time is completed, and I want to make love to her." So Laban brought together all the people of the place and gave a feast. But when evening came, he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and Jacob made love to her. And Laban gave his servant Zilpah to his daughter as her attendant. When morning came, there was Leah. So Jacob said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? I served you for Rachel, didn't I? Why have you deceived me?" Laban replied, "It is not our custom here to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older one. Finish this daughter's bridal week. Then we will give you the younger one also, in return for another 7 years of work." And Jacob did so. He finished the week with Leah, and then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel to be his wife. Laban gave his servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as her attendant. Jacob made love to Rachel also, and his love for Rachel was greater than his love for Leah. And he worked for Laban another 7 years. When the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, he enabled her to conceive, but Rachel remained childless. Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben, for she said, "It is because the Lord has seen my misery. Surely my husband will love me now." She conceived again, and when she gave birth to a son she said, "Because the Lord heard that I am not loved, he gave me this one too." So she named him Simeon. Again she conceived, and when she gave birth to a son she said, "Now at last my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. So he was named Levi. She conceived again, and when she gave birth to a son she said, "This time I will praise the Lord." So she named him Judah. Then she stopped having children. This concludes the reading.
Let's look at the first part of this, the Bachelor Genesis style. All right, picture this. Jacob rolls into town and he's like the first contestant on The Bachelor, Canaan edition. But instead of roses, we've got a well. Instead of limos, we got sheep. Jacob spots Rachel, who's basically the original contestant on the show. And it's love at first sight. He's smitten, ready to put a ring on it, and he's like, "Hey, Uncle Laban, can I marry your daughter?" Now here's the twist. Laban's like the Chris Harrison of the show, and he says, "Sure, Jacob, but you've got to work for me for 7 years first." 7 years for a date? Seriously? That's a commitment. It's like signing up for a Netflix subscription without knowing if they have your favorite show. Let's look at the first part. So our committed man Jacob agrees to Laban's terms. Fast forward 7 years and it's time for the big wedding. So the party's rocking, everybody's celebrating, and it's dark. I mean, really dark. They only had candles back then, so how much light could there really be? Then, when it comes time for the consummation of the marriage, Uncle Laban decides to pull an epic switcheroo. He sends Leah, Rachel's sister, instead of Rachel, off to Jacob's tent. So Uncle Laban here has basically swapped out Jacob's order for a nice juicy burger for a salad. Jacob, in his wedding night excitement, however, doesn't realize the bait and switch until the morning after when the sun rises. So now we have this sitcom moment where Jacob confronts Laban, and Laban's like, "Well, you know, it's Canaan. We do things a little differently. You got to get the younger sister instead of the older sister. Not a problem, right?" Personally, I don't know if this is a catfish story or if this is an episode of Jerry Springer. I mean, you got Jacob, he's looking to marry Rachel, and Uncle Laban swaps out to the younger sister. Jacob sleeps with the younger sister, but he's thinking it's the older sister. This is just a lot to really unpack. All right, let's slip over into the story of love, Leah, and modern relationships. Now let's take a closer look at Leah, the often overlooked character in this story. She's like the unsung hero, much like Jan Brady from the Brady Bunch, always living in the shadow of her sister Rachel. Leah proves to be a remarkable catch in her own right. Her journey represents the beautiful notion that love can flourish and deepen over time, even in the most unexpected circumstances. I mean, Jacob really did come to love Leah, even though his eye was still on the prize of Rachel. In our fast-paced modern world, where we often make snap judgments by swiping left or swiping right, Leah's story serves as a powerful reminder that true love isn't always an instantaneous spark. It's akin to comparing the Hebrew's perspective on love, which highly values commitment and the gradual growth of affection, as opposed to the Christian viewpoint, which sometimes places more emphasis on immediate connection and chemistry. We've all seen this in all the movies and stuff where there's an arranged marriage or marriage for the purpose of a business or something like that back in history, where a couple didn't know each other, may not have even liked each other when they got married, but over time they grew to very much love and respect each other. That's basically what happened here with Jacob and Leah. Let's take a little look at the drama between Rachel and Leah. The Rachel and Leah rivalry is pure reality TV drama. Rachel's like the popular girl, and Leah's the underdog with a heart of gold. They're both competing for Jacob's attention, and it's like the biblical version of The Real Housewives. Jacob, however, finds himself ensnared in the midst of an intricate love triangle, akin to a tightrope walker cautiously navigating a high wire. This situation draws a distinct contrast between the Hebrew perspective, which cherishes the significance of family and lineage, where Jacob's predicament reflects the cultural importance of fulfilling familial obligations, and the Christian viewpoint, which often gives precedence to individual relationships and the profound notion of love as a deeply personal and spiritual connection. In the end, Genesis 29 is not just an ancient tale, but a story that reflects the complexity of love, family, and relationships. It reminds us that life is full of unexpected twists and turns, much like our modern reality shows. We've laughed, we've learned, and we've seen how Hebrew and Christian perspectives on love and relationships differ. Whether you're Team Rachel or Team Leah, one thing's for sure: the Bible has some surprising and relatable moments that can still make us smile today. So if you enjoyed this humorous take on Genesis 29, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. And remember to subscribe, because there's more biblical hilarity coming your way on BibleGlimpse. Until next time, keep the laughter alive and keep diving into those ancient stories with a modern twist.